Hello everybody, this is my Sealey TS01 sheet metal folder. It's capable of bending, in this case 18 gauge, 700mm long in one pull. Now, it's a nice little machine, but of course what I really wanted was something that could pull a 4-foot or 1200mm sheet in one go, but I haven't got £1,000 to spare. So partly due to the fact of its endless design, where you can keep pushing in a longer sheet and tipping it a bit at a time, and partly because I've got my old sheet metal folder which has never worked properly ever since I got it. It's so badly made that it basically tries to pull itself apart when you try and bend anything. I got to wondering whether I could keep the best parts of this, dispense with the bent and broken parts, and make a bender that will service the needs of the next project. Okay, so what I came up with for the base was this old hardwood sill that I rescued from a skip. What I like about this is it's nearly 8 inches wide, which should give us a good deal of stability. Just in case this has any ideas of warping or twisting on me, I've also got this piece of hardwood which I can screw to it, and that should beef it up and give us all the strength we need. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut these to length. I'm going to screw the new machine to it, and then we can offer up the old one and see what needs to happen to get it to line up with this. So I've got the base finished, and that's come out okay, and I've got the Sealey screwed down in its final position. Now when it comes to bending something that's up to 4 foot 1200mm long with these little benders, you're going to be up against it, because you still run into this problem of this one having an end, and unless you're going to replicate this end on here, which would be a complete waste of time, because you would literally be better just getting another one of these and putting it alongside, it's not going to work. Even if you did get another one of these and put it alongside, you're always going to have this some sort of gap here, and when it comes to the thicker 18 gauge, these small machines just haven't got enough grunt and meat to pull it how you're going to want it. So instead of playing to these machines' weaknesses, I thought it would probably make better sense to play to their strengths. And this is why, if you notice, the machine is all over one side, and I've had to relieve these so that we can still use it as intended. I just put a piece of aluminium in here so that I could do it one-handed, but we still want that facility. We don't want to be messing around every time we just want to do a quick bend. So what I started to look at was, if we look at the back, we've actually got a really nice sharp corner. We've got some clamping ability at the top, and bear in mind this top clamp is totally floating, so if I unscrew these, we can literally take that top piece off. It has no fixing, which is why you need to dial it in with these cams. So what I started to think was, if we could get this clamp to come forward and also have the nice machined edge on this side, then we would effectively have I-beam arrangement, if you like, where we all watch Fitzy screwing his metal down to his I-beam, and with clamps and box section and all the rest of it, he can get a reasonable bend. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we had that type of arrangement all permanently set up all the time, so we can just slide our larger sheet in, clamp it down, and start to bend it with our hands or hammers or whatever and finish it off. Even that would just be such a big leap forward in the hobby shop for no money and a bit of effort. So I'm going to now show you how I think this is going to work. So when I come back, we'll see this top plate clamped in the position we want for larger sheets. Okay, so I hope you can see that what I've done is I've unscrewed the base and I've turned it around. So the bender has stayed where it is. Here's the front we were looking at. Everything's the same. Handles are here. So what we can do now is we can take these off, pick this up, turn it around, we've got a nice sharp edge now where we want it. These can swing back round out the way, so with these arms now swung in this position, what we need is something to connect our clamping pin back to the bracket. So let me set that up, and then this side is done. So what we've got is a sturdy little bit of angle with an 8mm tapped hole at this end and a clearance hole in this end, and a bolt coming in from the bottom that tightens up in the original clamp thread. And you can still, the cams still work just as before, so you can dial this edge in just how you want it and then nip it down, and anything in there is going to be really well held. And you've also, don't forget, you've still got your middle tensioning mount as well. So that sorts this one out. Now the only limitation size wise is going to be where if the 4-foot sheet comes in from this side, you've still got over 4 inches, and if you look at this piece, which would be massive for me, you'd comfortably do that, as you can see. But don't forget, and this is why this is all at one end, you know, you can go to the floor on this side. You've got over 3 foot you could fold down. So I think that's, you know, it's a pretty reasonable expectation for something like this. So now it's only left to see if there's anything we can salvage from the Clark that we can run alongside this one and have a clamping arrangement which can just live here on this board. So we can have some 4-foot bending ability. So with the front moving plate on the Clark removed, we can see that we've got a nice sharp edge like we've got here, and if we use the top clamping plate, we've got a nice sharp machined edge that we can use. We've got clamping ability at this end. The only thing we're missing is a clamp for here, but for the sake of just putting one clamp in, which again it can live here, it doesn't need to, we don't need to go hunting for it. We can replicate what we've got here over here. Now I think it only really remains to chop this completely off, slide this up and line this face up with this face and level it so that this and this are obviously at the same level, and I think we'll be pretty much done. We'll soon be trying it out. Okay, so I got the supports done for this side, got this clamped down, good enough to do a test anyway. We're good this way. You know, we're lined up this way, so everything's coming along. The only thing I did forget was, of course, now this is here, you couldn't swing this back round without taking this off, so I just had to remove some webbing from under there so that you can just unbolt it and connect it back up for when we're working on this side just as an ordinary bender. So I got over that problem, so I think it's time to get some sheet and see what it can do. So you can see now I've got a 4-foot sheet set up in the new folder. I just started to lightly press down on it to see what would happen, and amazingly it seems to be working. So this is the first bend that I've tried, so let's see what happens. Well, that went better than I thought. I don't think that's too bad considering that's a first attempt on a homemade machine. So this is the absolute extreme use you could put this to, and I will never probably do this in anger, but I just wanted to show that in theory anyway, it could bend 4 foot long sheet. But what I'm more interested in doing is being able to reproduce these set angles. If you have to go and buy these, they cost a fortune. So to be able to make a decent length like that in 18 gauge is more what this project's all about. So let me cut off the longest length of 18 gauge I've got and see if we can make up one of these. Okay, so we're set up again with our 18 gauge. Just in case you're wondering, I have actually got $1,300 length of usable sharp edge. So of course, because it has no fixed end, you could have longer lengths hanging out the end if you wanted. I did just linish that factory weld off, so these two would butt up together nice. So you might want to linish that one if you were going any longer, but you get the idea. So let's tap that round and see what that looks like. Okay, so there she is. We'll just have to pretend that it was a longer length, because that's the longest I got, but doing half on one and half on the other, it should be okay, because the clamping force is only getting stronger as you get towards the end clamps. I can already see a modification to be done here. If I slot this hole, then I can push the top plate to touch this one, so we don't get a little wobble there, but that's a minor detail. So let's take this out and see how it compares with the factory bought one. Okay, so that's the factory bend we were trying to make a copy of, and they've got a nice sharp corner to them, and this is the one I've just taken off the new machine, and I think you can see I'm getting that nice crisp corner that I'm looking for. So I can now make up my own versions of these. If we look at this is what you get if you pull, especially with 18 gauge on a lot of machines actually, let alone small ones, you get this kind of wishy-washy corner, which is just what you want in some circumstances, but when you're trying to do doorsteps and stuff, you want to really it to crank right to 90 degrees. So there we are. I'm sure there's lots of tweaking and extra bracing and goodness knows what else that could improve this, but the mission was to be able to bend a 4-foot sheet with whatever was lying around, and to be able to replicate this sort of things for the next project. So I'm happy with that. So as always, thanks ever so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.